What's up, everyone? David Seven Skies here, broadcasting from the Seven Skies Mansion. Today, I am incredibly excited to do this video because it's something I've been working on ever since I started using Live, and finally, I'm done with it and I can share it with you. So, let's dig into it. Right, so ever since I started working with Live, one thing that I particularly loved about Live is the Recs. And I've been working on Recs that I can just throw in a channel or in a group and, just twist a freaking knob or macro, if you want to call it that way, and shit just happens. So I've been working on this little pack that I decided to call Rect. I don't know, I like the name. And this pack, I actually worked on two different projects. This one that I'm showing you today is the effects rack. So basically, this is going to be very good for transition effects and to add like little effects to your tracks. And then I'm doing another one which is not quite ready yet, which is going to be mixing. So EQing, compression, stuff that you just put on a vocal channel and it'll just make it sound good. Like it'll add compression, reverb, and a bit of EQ, sparkle on the highs and all that kind of stuff. But that's gonna come later next month, I guess. This one is just all about effects, and let's just jump right into it. All right, so here we have a build from my newest library, which is called Destiny Drums. It's a simple build. Right, so the first one I'm going to show you is the frequency lifter. So the frequency lifters are three. It's the same thing, but one is a light effects, the other one is a medium effects, and the other one is an extreme effects. So let's just start with the light version. So this is the interface, super easy. You get this 4 macros. And what happens here? You have the lifter, you have the filter on and off, you have the reverb on and off, and the compression on and off. Right, so let's just move this macro over here so you can see here in the Ableton thing, and let's just automate it. And now let's hear what happens. So this creates that kind of pitching effects that is really used in modern EDM music. But once again, this is not using the wave pitch shifter that everybody is using to do this kind of effects. It's using a frequency shifter, so the effect is slightly different, and I think it's a little bit more original. But then you can add some other effects to it to make it even more articulated. So all you do here, the way I set these racks up is if you see off and on, if it's at 0, the plugin is bypassed. And if it's at any value that is not 0, the plugin is going to be on. So if you want to turn it on, you don't have to go all the way up. You can just move it a little bit and it's going to be on. So right now, we're going to turn on everything. So we're going to turn on the filter, the reverb, and the compressor. And let's hear how it sounds. I think this is pretty dope, and once again, I only automated one parameter, and this is what's happening. So the cool thing about this is that it's so versatile. So for example, if I only want the lifter and the filter cutoff, but I don't want the reverb and I don't want the compressor, I can just turn it off. And now I'll have So you have a lot of choice here, and I think this is what's really good about it, because there's some plugins that do this for you, but you can't really you can't really turn off the reverb or the high pass, or it's all in one, and you can't really do much with it. That's why I think these racks are pretty cool, is because you have that extra control that sometimes it really makes the difference, because sometimes you just don't want something, and so you're like, oh, I don't want this reverb, so I'm gonna have to do it myself. Well, here it's done for you, and this is why producers should make plugins, because we know what we're doing. But anyway, so this is the light version. If we use the mild version, this is what happens. And then we have the extreme, which is this one. And the extreme is extreme, like the frequency shifter works a lot here. All right. All right, so this is one of the 5. Then we have my favorite, which is the pan transition. But I think for the pan transition, it's actually best if I use it on a lead channel. So I have this. This one is the lead that I used in my talk remix for Salvatore Ganacci. I rearranged it a little bit so that you can hear the effects is a little bit better. The pan transition, like I said, it's my favorite one out of all the 5 different racks, and it's the one that I use the most. I use this. In the remix, in the Salvatore Ganacci remix. I used it a lot in my new collab with Kashmir. I used it in the tracks with Borges. I used it a lot, and the effects is actually really simple. But I think it gives an amazing result. So I'm just gonna automate it here. But basically what it does is that it adds a pan, an auto pan, that as it increases in amount, it also increases in rate. So you get this slow to very high panning rate, and then it fades also in high pass, and it's really good when you have to go into a drop. It really works amazing. So yeah, this is it. Obviously you might want to have it on a longer note when you're trying to drop from a break. When you're on a build like this and you want to go into a drop, you might want to sustain one of the notes and have it longer instead of keep going with the chords. But this is the effect, and like I said, I think it's super dope. It just gives so much energy, and it just takes you right into the drop. And you can also make it bounce back like and what you can add here is there's 2 different types of reverb. There's one that is pre panning and filtering, and there's one that is post panning and filtering. So one will be affected by the filter and the panning, the other one won't be. And obviously then there is the compressor that helps glue everything up and everything stays at a better level if you need it. So now we're going to use only the reverb that is before the panning and the filter. So you hear is a little bit bigger as it builds, but you don't get that really spacey effect because the reverb is being filtered and pan, so you don't really understand what happens, but it makes the sound a little bigger. So if you add the reverb after, this is what happens. So it fades out a little more. It gets lost a little earlier compared to having it without the reverb. But it depends. Sometimes you want that depending on the track, depends on the build that you have. Sometimes you want it to be sort of fading away into a reverb. Sometimes you want it a little bit more in your face. And in that case, you can simply turn it off. The compressor, like I said, helps keeping everything a little bit more in your face while everything is building. So yeah, this is definitely my favorite out of all the 5 racks, and it's the pan transition. Now let's go to the Futurize. Futurize is something that I used a lot in the Salvatore Ganacci remix and in a couple of new tracks that I made that are future based. And this is very cool for that kind of future based wobbly sound. It's already offset so that it bounces well with the music, because sometimes if you offset it at 0, the LFO is slightly shifted and you don't get the right groove. And I found that at 260 you get the right wobble in the right time. Everything just sort of flows well. But if you don't like it, if it's not working for you, all you have to do is move this offset over here. Right, so you can obviously turn it on and off, because you can achieve this wobbly sound in 2 ways with this rack. One is with the volume, and the other one is with a filter. Now I'm going to show you both. I'm going to show you the one with volume first. So you have to turn it on, and like I said before, if it's at 0, it's turned off. If it's at any other value, it's turned on. So let's just put it whatever value, and then let's set it to 1/8. And this is turned off. And what's cool is that you can automate it, so you can have a different rate on the wobbles, and that's really used in Future House. And like I said, this is already made for you. And if you don't want it to be so present, if you don't want the effects to be so present, you can just turn down the amount. You might want to have a longer note that has a little bit of a wobbly sound to it, and this setting is quite cool. Or you might want the extreme like it was before. It's what I usually like. But once again, this is done with the volume. So here you can also do it with the filter. Once again, you have to turn it on. Let's go to 1/8. And there you go. Even this one is super handy. I used it on so much stuff lately. And it's stuff that you totally can do yourself, but I don't know, I think this is already done. It's much better. You just get it, you drag it in. Don't have to, find the right setting. You don't have to do anything. It's just there for you. It's already mapped. I think it's dope. Let's see, something else. We have Many Filters Pro. There's also a light version. It's not in this pack, but it's going to be in the pack that you download. Basically, Many Filter Pros has all the filters that you might need in your tracks, and they're already mapped. The difference here is that when they're turned all the way up, they also bypass the filter. Because sometimes when you turn a filter on, you can hear that it's taking away, for example, if you put a low pass, even if it's turned all the way up and everything is sort of, and the filter is sort of not working, sometimes you can hear that the highs kind of disappear a little bit. You can't like super hear it, but sometimes it's like, oh, I lost a little sparkle. And the reason is sometimes the filter, even if it's turned all the way up, it's still filtering a little bit of the highs. With this filter, if it's turned all the way up, the filter is also turned off, so it doesn't mess with your sound. The moment you turn it down a little bit, the filter will turn on and it's gonna start filtering as well. But as soon as you bring it up, the filter is gonna turn off. So here we have a super simple low pass. And you can hear that up here it sort of clicks a little bit, which is when it's turning off the plugin. It's very subtle, so I don't know if you can hear it. And then we have a low pass resonant, which basically is the same thing as a low pass, but it also has resonance mapped in, because sometimes if you want to also have resonance on your filter, you have to automate both the filter cutoff and the resonance, and that takes time. And the reason I made this racks is to save time. The most important thing for me as a producer, and it should be the most important thing for you as well as a producer, is saving time. Is you have an idea, you want to get there fast, you need to get shit done, and you don't want to mess with automation. And that's why I made these things. So you load it in and it just works. So low pass filter resonance will also have a resonant automation already in this macro. And so when you filter it, this is what you get. So here's the difference. High pass is the same thing, obviously just with high pass. And this is with the resonance. Then you have a band pass, and even this one, when it's at 0, it's completely turned off. And as soon as I move it, you'll hear that it engages, because obviously band pass is slightly different compared to the low pass. It cuts in both ways, so you'll hear it kicking in right away. And then there's the dip, which is the same thing as band pass, but it's in the opposite direction. And then there's the multi. And also one thing that you can do is you can drive the filter if you need it. I'm not too much of a fan of drive on filters, but sometimes you can create really cool effects. So that's why I put it there. And then there is, I think this is the last one. Yes, there is the Space Wave. Space Wave is another really cool effect. If you know that song by Above and Beyond, Sun and Moon, and I'm pretty sure you guys know it, this is that effects. This is how to recreate that thing. There's one part in that song where you hear this JP8000 chords that come in with a very high rate, and then they slow down and they fade in into a reverb, and then the main chord starts. It just gives a lot of energy. It's super cool effect. And this does that exactly. So hear how it sounds. And then it fades into the reverb. Obviously, let's just leave it on. This is really good when you are coming from a drop and you're going into, for example, the second breakdown, and you want to stop things in a very interesting way. You can just put this this rack, automate the magic knob, and this is what's going to happen. You can obviously have a less amount if you just want to have it on pads, for example. just want to move pads a little bit and you don't want to have the effects so present, you can just take it down. I honestly like the effect a lot when it's at 100%, but it obviously doesn't work on something that it has to be used on something that is sort of a transition effect. This is basically all these effects are basically designed to be transition effects. You can also turn the reverb on, and you can change the shape as well. So let's go back to our part over here. Oh, I didn't turn off the reverb. And so the shape, this is more of a square LFO, while when it's all the way down, it's more of a sine. And if you turn the reverb on, all right, this is it. Super excited about these racks. Like I said, they're pretty simple, but trust me, they're super powerful, super useful. You're gonna use them a lot. I've been using them like crazy in my own production. They really helped a lot. They speed up my workflow like crazy. So I can't wait for you to try it. And the best thing is that it's free. So you can just check the link down below, go to my website, and you'll get all the instruction to just download it. And once you download them, please let me know in the comments down below what you think. If there are ways to improve them. Obviously, I'm still pretty new to live. I think it's been a year now, but you know, between working and doing work, I never really had time to explore the capabilities of the racks. I'm still learning every day, still grinding. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you can improve them. Let me know if there's something out that is similar or that is better, or let me know if these are the best one that you've tried so far, which is what I actually want it to be. Also, if you need sounds, presets, samples, whatever, check out my website, standalone-music.com. And for me, David Seven Skies, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye.